give this a shot. See if this all still works the way it used to. Okay. It says that my stream is healthy. And it's showing audio. Let me test it. Okay. Yep. It's working. Well, hi everybody. My name is Tim. And it has been more than a long time since I've made a video here on my drawing channel. I don't expect anyone to show up here. I don't expect anything out of this except to come on here, draw a little bit, and just have some fun. It's been... a lot has happened in the last, what feels like year. It's only been maybe 8 months, 9 months, give or take. We've moved to Montana. We're here in Montana now, and just life as we know it has changed in many, many different ways. And one of those things is that I haven't had any time to work on videos, which is kind of well, not videos here, which is kind of mind-boggling for me, because I've had so much going on, and then when I haven't had so much going on, the one thing I've wanted to do is just sit and stop and not think as much as humanly possible. It's been crazy. A lot has happened in the last long time, and I figured if I can answer your questions, I have a chat room in here that you're welcome to chat on, and I'll try to answer your questions. But needless to say, it's a lot to catch people up on, and I think I'm not even really going to have the best answers to give. So I'm quickly trying to see if I can set up my screen on my drawing tablet. I wasn't quite feeling in the mood to draw today, but I'm going to give it a shot anyway and see how far I get. And honestly, I don't know if I'm going to do any drawings for myself or if I'm going to do any client drawings or what. I'm just going to sketch and chat and talk about what's been going on recently and just go from there and see what happens. Let me know if you guys can hear me okay as well. So, we sit on about 12,071 subscribers right now, which is mind-boggling. Worked a long time on this channel. Have come a very long ways with this channel, and then part of this channel just continued to grow itself up until recently, and it seems like it's just stopped. And it seemed to slow down once I jumped from working in Photoshop and in drawing programs on my computer and on my Cintiq that I have set up over here, and moving to what I'm doing now, which is drawing on my iPad. And that just, it seemed that things just kind of went... So I would say that in a way, my YouTube channel has plateaued, and that's kind of where we stand here. I got no problem with that. I've been working on quite a bit of different stuff. I'm still making YouTube videos quite often. I'm still doing a lot of stuff on Facebook. I have a lot of friends on Facebook that I keep updated now. And just a lot of stuff I'm working on art-wise, even when I don't want to, just because there's just so much intense going on of everything that I've been working on. So I'm just going to draw, and you're welcome to hang out, and I have no idea what I'm going to do, and I just need to loosen up a little bit. I need to kind of get a rhythm of something and just kind of see about how far I can take this. And I apologize, because I know that there is really no good way to explain why I'm here, what I'm doing here, and how this all works, but I see we got 5 people here, and thanks for hanging out. So if you have any questions for me, I love answering questions. I love giving advice. I love teaching something, and I would love to help you in any way that I can, and we go from there. So chat with me, and let's see if there's anything I can do to make your day better or make your art better, and we'll just have some fun together. I got a whole bunch of stuff here. I'm telling you, my iPad has become my main drawing system. I've even tried to set my Cintiq back up on my computer to attempt to draw on it again in a more professional sense and enjoy something a little bit more professional to draw on here in my office now that we're moved into our house. And honestly, I can't get it to work with my computer. I apparently don't have old enough drivers or legacy drivers. And then at the same time, it's not as portable. I mean, right here, I'm showing you guys, and you can see there's almost no delay between what I'm doing and what my screen capture software is doing. That the ability to use an iPad like this is just really kind of amazing. So it's just kind of a given that I would kind of stick with this. The only negative I see to using an iPad Pro at this point in time, even though it is the bigger one, it is still a very small screen to draw on, but I think it's really easy to get used to that. So I haven't really drawn anything for myself recently. Everything that you're seeing here on here is either client art or theories that I've had or big pieces I'm working on for clients. I got a lot of stuff that I'm doing in many different aspects. Just finished up this guy for a piece, and I had to finish him in my desktop. That happens a lot, where I'll do the drawing in Procreate or in another one of my apps, and then I'll move it into my computer and finish it there. So him, I worked on his. Here's a quick one I threw together for a friend, just kind of in my old Disney caricaturing style that you guys might remember from when I was working out at Disney in Florida. And then stuff like, I don't want to show you certain ones in detail because I don't have permission from some of my clients to do that. But like this one here is a piece that I did myself that is now a t-shirt that people can buy in my t-shirt store. One of the things that I have been religiously involved in right now is remote control quads or drones, if you will. And I know that sounds like, dude, how have you fallen from 12,000 subscribers down to 200 subscribers on a drone channel where you make videos about little guys like this? This has become my passion outside of drawing, and it's become a very big passion of mine, so much so that I make tons of videos on flying these toys and meeting with people. There's an amazing community involved in the RC stuff, and I would love for you guys to check that out. You can just look up Shreddy Bear, and that's the name of my YouTube channel where you can check that out. And it's a really, really amazing community to be involved in because everyone's friends in the community, and it's incredibly supportive. You have friends there no matter what you do. That being said, this is really kind of one of the few pieces that I worked on for myself. One of the very few pieces. I'm going to turn up my audio here just a little bit to see if I can give you guys a little better microphone sound. I hope that's not too bad. And I know there's a lot of ambient sound, and I am using this microphone. Hopefully it sounds pretty good. It might be a little too high. I'm getting tired. I'm getting very tired of working on client artwork. At this moment in time, I have a part-time job and this job where on my part-time job, I actually start Tuesday, and I'm going to be working at UPS, being a package handler, which is a very interesting early morning shift. And then I have this job where I draw caricatures and cartoons and make YouTube videos and try to find ways to make money in my passions of making videos and things like that. And it's tiring. It's very tiring. You may assume that I'm living my dream right now, but I'm really not living the dream quite the way I would have hoped. But my dream that I have met and that I'm living very well and that I'm enjoying very much is being married to my beautiful wife, Mandy, and us having a home, having a nice truck, and things like that, which that's a whole story in itself because we had quite a bit of drama with our truck. Well, not our truck. Yeah, with our truck and with our house. And that's all stuff I'm happy to share with you guys if you want to hear stupid stories, because I'm just here to hang and chat. This is actually something I usually do on my Facebook, where I hang out on my Facebook and all my friends come and hang out. And we just chat while I do this kind of stuff. And I haven't. I decided I was going to come on here because I noticed that I haven't done anything here on Draw Too Much. And I even got an email the other day of someone wanting to buy my YouTube channel, and I was going, you know what, I haven't used this channel in forever, so it seems, but I have no desire to give it up because there is a wonderful group of people either being incredibly supportive or waiting to learn something new, and I just need to find the time to make something new. But I've kind of hit a... I've hit a wall of where to go next from everything I've taught you guys, and how to do it that is helpful to you guys and financially helpful to me, and I've just not been able to follow up. I haven't been able to follow up on the Patreon side of things. I haven't been able to keep up with making more videos, considering the fact that right now I'm so focused on doing client artwork and then running away from client artwork to focus on myself and focus on my wife, and that hasn't been very easy a lot these days. Here's a piece that I was working on. I went out to Tennessee with my wife and had a great time, and while I was flying in the plane, it's a beautiful thing about an iPad is you can take it with you anywhere. I literally drew this on the airplane. And it represents a piece that I worked on a while ago in watercolor, and it's the idea of guinea pigs in outer space or prairie dogs in outer space. And so I kind of just redesigned that a little bit, and I sketched it out here on my iPad, and that was a really fun little piece that I worked on in that moment before we landed in Tennessee, where I was there to hang out with my wife when she wasn't in conference, but she was going on a conference. And then when she wasn't doing that, then, when she was doing that, then I was out trying to get video of my hobby, flying my drones, and interviewing fellow pilots and stuff. I wish I knew how to start a conversation with you that would be fun. To update you about my life would take a very long time. And it's not exactly... I'd bore you to death. That's all I'm saying. I would bore you to death. And I know that this is going to be something that I'm going to keep up on the YouTube channel so people can see Tim is still alive. I feel... Have any of you guys ever heard of Ronald Jenkins? Jenkins or Jenkins? Ronald Jenkins, I think is his name. Amazing musician. I think mentally handicapped. Has what's the proper term for that? The politically correct term, you know, learning issues. I don't know, but one of the most excellent musicians I've ever listened to, who plays a keyboard. He comes on. You take one look at him and he goes, "Hi, YouTubes," and then he starts playing these amazing songs. And a couple years back, he was really involved, and every time he'd make a new song, you would be mesmerized and so buried into what he was playing. And then one day, he just stopped, disappeared completely. No one knew where he went, and everyone was curious. And you start seeing messages from people all over his YouTube videos, and and they would be going, "So when's the next song, Ronald Jenkins song? When are you going to come up with something new? Are you alive?" I mean, literally messages like that, and people just started disappearing and giving up. And a select few of us stuck around, and one day he made another video and started making another song here or there, and then disappeared again. I think life just takes over, or and when life takes over, you move forward, and certain things get left behind, and sometimes stuff like this gets left behind. And you look at a channel when you first start it. I mean, like right now I have my channel which is my Shreddy Bear channel, which is all about my drones and stuff. And I want it to get big. I want it to get as big as this channel is. I want it to become what this channel became. But then I look at my 12,000 subscribers here and realize I've done a miserable job in taking care of you guys. Because even right now with 12,000 subscribers, according to my computer here, I have 7 people watching. And you'd think, wow, with 12,000 people following this guy and subscribed to this guy, why is there only 7? It's because I've done a miserable job taking care of it. And I think I've fallen in the same boat. I'm sorry about my microphone. I hope that's not... If my battery runs dead, then I'll scoot over here to my big microphone that I got sitting on the side here. But, oh, I also have it wrapped around another cable, apparently, which is my earphones. I would love to see things happen with all of this stuff, but I find that I've fallen into the Ronald Jenkins situation, where my life has changed and I've run out of things to talk about on Draw Too Much. I feel like I've taught everything that I can teach about my art techniques, about my style, and I've seen people be blessed by it, and I've seen myself be blessed by you guys, and I've run out of stuff to talk about because my technique has not really changed in all the different new technologies that we've seen, from drawing on my big Cintiq tablet that no one could afford, that I couldn't even afford, to drawing on an iPad, where most people have an iPad these days and can probably do all of this stuff. My technique really hasn't changed. I mean, when it comes to caricaturing and getting stuff out there for people. And also, when now I'm going to sound like an old man. Now I'm going to sound like a very old man. When I started this channel, and I don't remember when I started it. I've said it multiple times. When I started this channel, no one was teaching caricature. And at that time, there were very, very few videos of caricature on YouTube, and they were terrible. They were miserable. And so I was able to rise up in all of that and make a name for myself because of that. But that changed when you suddenly have guys appear like Nolan Harris and just so many excellent caricature artists that just appear out of nowhere, out of the woodwork, and they show themselves to be so amazingly proficient and knowledgeable and wise and fun and creative. And I become mesmerized by their work and their simplicity of design in their caricatures, and I become so mesmerized by them that I stop creating content for me, because I want them to create that content so I can learn from them. I'm afraid that the stuff I'm going to teach is not really going to be up to date. And all of my stuff either is exactly the same now as it was back then when I first started teaching caricature, or the second situation happens, and that's that some of my stuff has become outdated because of some technology updates and things, like programs. The only programs I draw on these days, I don't know if you guys hear that feedback from that or whatever. A lot of the stuff I draw on these days is just Procreate, Sketchbook Pro, and a little bit of Photoshop and a lot of Illustrator. I barely touch Photoshop these days, and I started this whole channel drawing in Photoshop and teaching Photoshop techniques. And then I escaped from Photoshop and got into Paint Tool Sci and all that sort of stuff. And there's a lot of younger individuals who appreciate the equipment like Paint Tool Sci and stuff like that. And then from there, it moved on from there. And I think I found one of my problems was that I was so busy being interested in other artists and learning from other artists, I didn't continue teaching you guys. And then, of course, the other scenario was they put out all that great content that I would send you guys to, and I would say go check out how they do things, because they do things so much better than I do. And things just kind of simmered down, I think. They chilled out, and life moved on. And I think a fad has ended in a certain way. Caricature certainly hasn't ended. I think caricature is a very beautiful art form that will always be there and will always be needed. And I learned that especially in the world of drones, believe it or not. Because I can tell you, if I show you this, if I scroll down here and I click on caricatures, I'll show you this. Most of these people that I show you, that I've drawn in the last year since I was really integrated into the world of drones and quadcopters, most of the people I've drawn have been guys who fly drones. If you see the goggles on their heads, here's my set right here. I'll show you mine. That's it right there. That's my goggles that I fly with, and you will see on a lot of my caricatures that I've drawn recently that all these guys are wearing these same goggles that I wear. And the reason why I'm still drawing caricatures, and the reasons I'm so involved in drawing caricatures these days, is not because I have succeeded in improving in caricature, but because I found a niche market, drawing caricatures for drone pilots. And I've been doing that for this whole last year, give or take now. In the last year, I've drawn over 100 drone caricatures. And it's just been a lot of fun to see the market jump out of nowhere, and people need RC drawings and caricatures, and I've followed the trend, and I've been in with them, and I haven't had any time to do anything. And anything that I've shared with you guys recently in my YouTube videos have been on drone caricaturing and topics of that nature. And that was, that's what happened. That's literally what happened. If you guys ask me where I went, that's my story. I got involved in caricaturing. I got involved in drones because I wanted to fly them. And the next thing you know, I drew one guy, and he let the world know that I was a caricature artist and that I could draw logos and things like that. And the whole drone community jumped on me, and I've been drawing them ever since. And even coming here to Montana and stuff, I haven't been at a loss for caricatures. They have slowed down here or there during certain months, but I've kept going. And even creating my own little character Shreddy Bear that I'm designing t-shirts around, and different kinds of things like that, trying to make Shreddy Bear kind of a staple for FPV and stuff like that. And he's a very fun little character that I enjoy drawing. Just not at all what I expected. I expected to become Jazza, Draws with Jazza, or the other guy who loves using what does he do? He loves using dodge and lighting techniques and things like that. And I thought I was going to become one of those guys, and that just never happened. And I have no problem with that, but I do feel a little guilty. Do feel a little guilty by that. JArt says, maybe you could branch out from just tutorials and do art challenges and speed paintings. You know what? I started this whole thing doing speed paintings. That's how the YouTube channel really started. It wasn't even teaching. It was speed paintings that got started. You might be right. Maybe I've lost my direction. I think I think at a certain point in time I decided that my art, and I've always said this, I've always said that my artwork was never good enough to be in competition, but was always good enough to sell. That I remember very, very well. That my artwork these days is worth a good penny, and a lot of people have asked for it, which has been a blessing. But I mean, I would never win in any way, shape, or form in a caricaturing competition at all. There's no way. My style and my quick technique to getting something done, it just really doesn't meet that challenge protocol that you need, and the time that I have to do a challenge, it's been a long time. I'd be very curious to see what kind of challenges you mean. I'd be very interested in knowing a little bit more about your theories there. Because I've done a couple challenges. I've done a couple things. I've tried left-handed drawing challenges. I've tried drawing. Actually, my last 3 videos on Shreddy Bear that I have here on my channel, in regards to sorry about that. It looks like I got another client messaging me right now, but my last challenges that I did were like drawing my character within 30 minutes or something. And like I said, guys, I apologize for Messenger on the top of the screen there. I'll have to get back with him a little later. It was challenges, but those videos did not get much pull. Now, I admit, I remember starting from scratch and not getting much attention to my videos, and then growing over time and becoming more popular in that extent, and seeing that some of those videos would survive. But I've learned that there's a couple different kinds of videos that just fail in that, because they're not unique enough. You got this guy who takes a picture of himself wearing a female costume, and then he draws himself as the Little Mermaid. You got to admit that's unique, and that's a cool challenge. I'm not doing that. I'm bald. It doesn't get any more hair than this, and I'm not exactly interested in dressing in female clothes either. The worst I've done was I dressed up as Jesus, and I had to wear a wig, and I even had to wear lipstick and makeup and everything to make me look like Jesus on stage. That was fun, but no, that's the closest I've ever gotten to dressing female. I had to play a wise man as a kid at my church, and had to wear one of my sister's purple dresses, and I've forever detested the playing wise man ever since. Very, very fun though. And you know, I am very happy to continue creating content here. I'm not going to get rid of this channel. I really don't see myself doing that. I mean, I would have to know that the person who took over this channel was actually going to do something that was God honoring and unique and would be a blessing to YouTube. Anyone who wants to buy it right now is because I have 12,000 subscribers, which, you know what, in these days on YouTube, 12,000 subscribers isn't much at all. Barely a thing these days. If you're not 1 million subscribers on YouTube, you're not a person per se. If you want to get noticed, or you want to get sponsored, or you want to go anywhere with anything, or if you want to get payment on what am I saying? On monetization or something. I don't even know what I'm drawing here. This is awkward looking stuff. Can someone tell me something to draw? I need something to draw. Let's someone challenging me with something. We got 6 people on here. Get in the chat room and give me a challenge. This is not a pity party conversation, by the way. This is just an update. And I kind of want to update you guys on some of the other crazy stuff that's happened within the last 6 months. Kind of starting at where we got here to Montana and how things have been going since then. Just because I know I haven't updated you guys about any of that stuff. And you guys are here for the artwork, so I want to do artwork for you. I want to focus on that. Draw yourself as an Avenger. Which one? Name it. I can do that. I think that would be fun. What Avenger do you think I best... I will do that if someone gives me an idea of which Avenger I should draw myself as. Don't say a girl, because there's no way I'm pulling off the Black Widow body in any way, shape, or form with this figure. But I wanna start back a little bit, and as soon as I see your response there, JR, so I will do that. Hulk it is. I think Joe Smith says Hulk. We'll go Hulk. So let's give this a shot. Why not? Let's start off with a little bit of the structure here for the face, and we'll go from there. And of course, I got my face right up here on the screen here in front of me. So we'll go for Hulk and see what kind of crazy Hulk I can pull off. And I will be using my video camera up here so I can see my face and get my referencing that I need. So don't be surprised if you see me look up this way. That's because I'm trying to see my face. Oh, cross-eyed would be kind of funny, wouldn't it? Maybe we should do like a funny Hulk. Anyway, let's see. When we got here to Montana, we lived with my in-laws, who are awesome and incredibly supportive for for about 6 months, 5-6 months, give or take. And one of the sad things that happened to us while we were there, sadly, was I was in a wreck. And it wasn't my fault, thankfully. I had just gotten a job at a graphic design firm here in Montana called Allegra. And Allegra is a very, very popular place all over the States. It's actually a corporate place. It's owned by individuals, and it's a pretty cool print shop. They do everything. I mean, t-shirt design, you know, any kind of print materials and stuff. So it was my very first day on the job. And they told me that they closed during lunch hours from 12 to 1. So if I was going to get lunch, then I needed to leave and grab lunch and be back at the office. By 1 o'clock. So I grabbed all my stuff and I decided I was going to go grab some lunch at my in-laws' house because we had some leftovers from the night before. And so I'm driving over to my in-laws' house, and I'm about 3-4 blocks away, and some person turns out into the road, not paying attention to what's going on, and trying to get referencing for the mouth. And just rams right into the front side of my truck, completely oblivious of me being there. And it all went downhill from there, because I was really, you know, the guy was nice, and talked with him, made sure he was okay, found out that he is a cancer victim and is on cancer issues, and I mean, like, cancer... literally had a pack on his side that was putting chemo drip into his body just to make him comfortable, and he just was having a rough life, a rough go, and it was not going well. And apparently I learned later that he actually was dealing with blackouts and things like that, and possibly one of the things that could have happened is he may have blacked out when he was pulling out into traffic and run into me. So anyway, I was without my truck, and that was actually my wife's grandpa's truck, who passed away and gave the truck to her. And so it was very unfortunate and very sad for both of us, because that truck had a lot of memories in it. And it was very, very sad to see that truck just be absolutely mutilated the way it was. And From there, we had to start figuring out how to get our hands on the money for the wreck, because it was totaled. It was totaled. But we didn't know, because everything that we tried to do to get a hold of someone was just not... Okay, I'm right now I don't like how this looks, because I'm realizing I'm going to have to draw hair on this guy, because this is obviously Hulk, and Hulk has hair. Me, I am now completely follically challenged. I haven't had hair for a while. My wife now rubs the top of my head and she goes, "Oh, it's so soft." And basically she means my scalp is so soft, not the hair that's there, because there ain't none. So I'm buzzed. I'm completely buzzed. It's gone. So we try to get a hold of insurance, and insurance tells us that this guy's truck that he was driving is actually a company-owned vehicle for a certain company here in Montana. And the long story short was that we were going back and forth with multiple insurances, all uncertain of the situation. No one had any idea of what was going on. And it literally took about a month plus before we even found out how much money we were getting for our truck. It took at least a month to even find out if our truck was totaled. It was ridiculous. The guy who grabbed the truck from us and took it to his shop, you know, after I had wrecked, was the guy who gave us guidance on what we should do in lines of, I'm going to go ahead and do this caricature to me. So I am going to give this guy a little bit of a beard. I may actually make him bald. We'll see. I'll put the hulking caricaturistics in here in the body design and the flow of the body and the color. But I think maybe I'm going to go that route. So I can still make it look a little bit like me and try to keep that caricature in there. Because I know my jaw don't look like that. I have a very round face. So it took forever for us to even figure that out. And once we had figured it out, then we had to figure out how on earth we were going to get our hands on a new car. And it turned out okay. I mean, we got ourselves a nice truck, and I love our new truck. We have a nice Tundra now that I think that my wife and I both agree, were it not for the amount of money we got on my little Toyota Tacoma that was her grandfather's, there would be no way that we would have gotten any kind of truck like that. So that was a blessing, but of course now we're back to paying per month for vehicles and such, and that's a little bit of an unfortunate situation. Right after that happened, you know, got the truck and we're doing okay again, starting to get into the rhythm of things again. I got laid off, and I've actually been unemployed now for the last month or so, and it was very unfortunate because I was literally doing 16 and 17 hours of overtime at Allegra, and they came to me and they let me know that money was tight and they would never have hired me if they thought this was something that would be an issue, and they just realized that they didn't have enough time to train me, and I was doing so much overtime to try and learn everything on my own, and they were a little worried about just trying to stay afloat with the company as it is, and so I got laid off. And incredibly unfortunate. It was very, very rough on Mandy and I, and that's why now I'm going to be starting day after tomorrow as working at UPS in morning shift. So I'll literally be getting up at midnight or so and working until 8 o'clock in the morning, starting here soon. So this is not Tim makes good and builds his and here's my drawing empire, and here's my drone empire, and here's everything I had hoped to become per se. Like I said, the one thing I have thrived in is my marriage with my wife. But unfortunately, my career, my art career, my videography career, none of that has gone anywhere as of yet, and that's a bit of an unfortunate situation for what I was hoping for, and that never has happened yet. But because of the situation with the job, because I am now going to be doing this new employment, I'm actually going to give this another shot and try my hand at being, you know, self-employed while still trying to do the part-time gig and everything like that, and see if anything will happen. So I don't know if that means I'll have more time for videos here. If you guys can help me out and give me some knowledge of what you would like to see from me if I was to continue doing this kind of stuff, that would be very helpful for me, because I'm at a loss of where to take this channel next. I think because I do so little with this channel and it's just grown itself over time, I now sit in a scenario where when I ask for advice, no one's here to answer those questions. No one here is here to say, hey, you should do this or you should do that. You know, and because of that, this channel hasn't really grown. And I'm not blaming you guys. I'm blaming myself completely. But as an artist, Instagram would be very useful for me. That's very true, too. And I do actually have Instagram. And I've kind of changed my Instagram since I started to be more on my drone stuff. But, yeah, Instagram does kind of seem to be the thing of the future, doesn't it? I mean, and it does mean shorter videos. So if I make a video, it needs to be even shorter. And of course, my videos are always hours long, aren't they? And not very helpful for certain people. So, okay, I think I got a little bit of a face going on here, so that seems to be a good start. I would like to see something a little bit here where I can do a little bit of foreshortening or a lot of foreshortening. So we're going to see about how much I can really stretch and contort the hulkish kind of body that I'm hoping on going for. So we'll see what I do next here. I am going to do it on another layer, and because I'm uncertain, I'm going to drop my opacity down on this next layer while I start to build it out. And I'll even use a thicker kind of marker just to kind of start giving myself a little bit of just to feel out what I could do with this next. Because as I've said in videos over the last couple of years, I've been so driven and focused on drawing caricature faces that anatomy has not been something that I've really focused a lot on, because I just draw so much. I draw so much face work. And I found recently, I mean, the drone hobby is all guys. I mean, there's some women in our hobby as well. Who are awesome people, but yeah, it's very, very rare that you will have a woman, unless a guy comes to me and says, hey, can you draw me and my wife, you know, for my anniversary or something, you know, being a drone pilot or something, and that's when I go, okay, yeah, first time in a long time I've drawn a woman, you know. So like I have a piece I'm working on right now, which is a very, very cool piece. It's the swamp monster. Well, it's actually the creature from the Black Lagoon. That's the proper name for it. That's a piece that I'm working on for a client right now, and that does require a bikini-clad woman, you know, like damsel in distress. And that's just, it's not something I'm used to drawing. I don't focus on that stuff. I don't study that stuff. So I'm gonna have to kind of backtrack a little bit and do some anatomy study and kind of try and get this exactly right. So. Let's see, I'm kind of okay with this. We'll see. I mean, and like this right here, this whole arm thing I got going on here, if your arm is extended, it doesn't show this folded muscle the way that I got going right here. So it's things like that that I'm not focused on as well as I should be, for sure. But I don't know, I have my fun, and I'm learning. I'm still learning as an artist every day when I do have the time to sit down and focus on something other than the client artwork stuff, you know. So anyway, I mentioned that I got laid off from my job, and that I'll be starting my new job here shortly. One of the other things that happened to us, which is just mind-blowing in itself, is that we were actually able to get a house. And if you look outside my window right now, it is the most beautiful snowscape you've seen in a long time. If any of you guys are Southerner folk, I was Southerner. I came from Florida. I am honored to live in Montana now. It has its pros and it has its cons, but I'm telling you that right now, if you look out the window, it's trees covered in snow, and the snow is just sticking to the branches. It's just a beautiful white Christmas kind of day. And it's snowing outside, and it's absolutely gorgeous. I can't get enough of it. And every single Montanan here that knows, that watches my Facebook or sees me, is laughing at me because I'm a kid in a candy store when it comes to the snow outside. And they're like, wait till you have to, you know, scoop the snow up and stuff. And it was absolutely hilarious to respond back to them and go, I love it. You guys just going to have to deal with it because I love it. I've literally gotten out for the past couple days and shoveled the sidewalks and shoveled my neighbor's sidewalks and enjoyed living in this white canvas that's outside here, and I don't want it to go away yet. Everyone's like, well, I hope it goes away soon, that we get some warmer weather. It was literally negative. It was 0 degrees or 1 degree yesterday with a negative. It felt like -7 apparently, and I was outside working on the yard and getting stuff taken care of, and just loving every minute of it. It was awesome. So I really have enjoyed living here to that extent. But yeah, there's some boredom here. I mean, like right now I'm actually doing this because I was sitting around with my wife in our living room. We were watching a couple movies and things, and she's incredibly supportive of me, doing anything I want to do. And literally, I got bored of watching movies and decided I was going to do this instead. So that's why I'm in here doing this now. So you guys can thank my wife for this whole scenario going on right now. Excuse me, I'm about to sneeze. So in getting the house, we looked around and just realized that the big issue with Montana, come on, get in the shot there. There it is. Okay, that's what I'm looking for. The big issue with living in Montana that we were finding is that there's a lot of foundation issues with houses out here. Also think making art videos based on current media you enjoy would be a good idea as well. You know what current media I've been watching recently? Frasier, Friends. I admit my wife and I have watched a little bit more anime recently, but yeah. Current media, we don't watch a lot of current media. Netflix and Amazon, that's it. So I would be drawing a lot of older stuff, but it's a good idea too. Keep the ideas coming. This is the stuff I need. And then I just need to find time to do that between drawing client stuff, which is my other big fight. So we were looking at all these houses, and we're seeing that everything is just not adding up when it comes to everything's just not adding up when it comes to finding a house that we liked that was going to fit us very well. We found one place that was absolutely gorgeous and huge and would have been amazing, and I would have had a whole, practically a warehouse for my studio. I could have set up studio lights and had this amazing big setup. It would have cost us a fortune, and it would have been great, but the issue is that there's like literally a junkyard right next door. And the neighborhood wasn't so hot, and it just wasn't great. And we were still looking at getting the house, but then found out that there was some serious foundational issues, and that was shot. And then this house here that we live in now came on the market, and we took one look at it, took our family to look at it. It's small. It is a 1-2 kind of a 3-bedroom house. It's not exactly a 3-bedroom house. It has a basement, and we have a good setup here, but we decided we were going to go for it. We decided we were going to invest in this house, and the price was incredibly reasonable. You could tell that the sellers were trying to sell it for a certain reason. They were trying to rush the sale through, and we didn't know exactly why that was until we actually met them and heard a little bit more. And basically this house was owned by their ailing mother, and she was basically passing away sadly. And so because of that, they were trying to sell the house and trying to get the money to take care of her bills and things like that, and kind of trying to settle up. Well, we worked very, very hard to get the house all ready for purchase for us to buy, and got all the paperwork in line and everything like that. And then the day of the signing comes up, and we go to the signing office to sign on the dotted line. And in getting here and signing on the dotted line, we were stopped halfway through and were notified that the owner of the house had passed away just a couple hours earlier before signing, and that our house had gone into probate, which basically means that because the person had signed, the person did not create a will for their children, no one knew who got the house. And so we literally had to stop signing in that moment. Everything was stopped. We left. We're literally in tears and just couldn't understand why on earth this was happening to us. And we drove down the road and came here to... I had left my car here at this house because we were thinking we were going to sign and come back, and I was going to start working on the house, literally to change out the locks and things like that. And so we're driving back to do that, to get my car and stuff, because God knew when we would be signing and we had no idea, and we were just going to kind of give up for the day. And we found a little dog on the side of the road and was able to get a hold of their owners and got that back to them. So we literally were saying for the rest of the day that we did not do the signing that day to save a dog's life. And that was God's plan. That's why that happened, right? You know. And so I'm trying a little bit more contortion in the body here to see if I can get a little bit more flow through the body. So literally just not at all what we had expected in any way, shape, or form in that. And then we decided we were going to go out of town that day because the signing was first thing in the morning. My wife took the day off from work, and we just thought, you know what, this isn't working out. Let's just get out of Dodge. Let's go somewhere away from all the trouble that we're dealing with today and all the frustration we're dealing with today, and let's just go have a good time. So we went out and checked something called the Gates of the Mountains, and it's a boat that you get on, and you go and you ride right in between all these crazy mountains and stuff on the boat, and it was a lot of fun. And on our way back, we were contacted by our realtor saying that we would be able to sign on the house the following day, which we were told a few minutes before we left the office, that when things go into probate, it can take months. We would possibly not be able to hear up till 4 months of what the status of the house would even be as they settled up with this person passing away. And it's those moments when you trust in God, you know that He has a plan, but you're going, what on earth is in your mind, God, that you would allow this to happen to us? What have we done that is deserving of this kind of crazy, you know? And that's where you just got to kind of settle down, step back a little bit, and realize that God does have a plan. You just got to find your flow again, and you know, go from there. And that's basically what we did. And so we're able to sign on the house the next day, and you know what? The first day we got all dressed up. We felt, I mean, we walked into this place and to sign on the dotted line, and they treat you well. They have got cookies in the corner, they got soft drinks, and they make you feel like royalty. You're coming to sign on the house, and it's going to be wonderful and glorious, and you know, you feel right to dress up and be a part of this whole event in a nice formal fashion and whatever. And literally the next day, so everything goes to pot, and we're trying to figure out what life is about now. Are we even going to get this house or start looking for something else? And we come in the next day. My wife's wearing her work clothes. I'm coming in there in t-shirt and jeans, or I think I was wearing like shorts, and we just didn't believe. We were going, yeah, this isn't going to work. There's no way that we're going to sign today. Something else is going to go wrong. So we made no effort to dress up and be a part of the whole pomp and circumstance, if you will, of the situation. And signed on the house that day. My wife went back to work, and I went to the house, installed locks, and waited for her to get off of work. And it was very unfortunate because the whole celebration that we were going to have, kind of us having our home and being able to get started on our home, just turned into this whole, okay, is it done? Are we actually done? We're done. Okay, that's fine. and being able to walk away going, okay, we have a home? Are we sure? Okay. And that was literally all that's what it felt like. And very unfortunate, because that's just not what you would expect or what you would hope for your first buying experience, for your first home buying experience. So very unusual. And of course, our realtor and our mortgage broker, they both looked at us at the signing table going, we have never, ever, ever seen this happen in our like 50 to 70 accumulated years together of working in this kind of thing. So it was mind-boggling, to say the least. I like that body form a little bit more, but now I got to work out the rest of the body structure, and then maybe we'll start looking at some refining and some color. So very, very interesting life out here so far, and there really isn't much to do. We're in a very small town. Literally, you can drive across the whole town in 15 minutes. Unlike living in Florida, and basically to go anywhere to out to dinner or whatever, it's going to take you an hour to get to a nice dinner place or something. Or if you want to go to Disney or Universal or any of those places, it's gonna cost you this much. And just the idea that you have so much opportunity to go and do stuff. Not even including the fact that you have so many opportunities of jobs and opportunities in general, you know, to be something or become something in that place. Now we're in a small rural town, and that's where we are. That's what we're doing, and it's not bad. You know, we're surviving here. It's not our first choice per se, but we're enjoying being close to the family. We are here when things are arising, when health issues are coming up that are just unexpected or unfortunate. We're here to take care of our family, and this is where we're at now. My wife and I love to travel, though. We dream of a job where we can work together and travel together. And I keep telling her that there is just no way that I'm going to give up on that opportunity, you know, if it was to ever arise, where we could actually do that one day, and that we shouldn't not put that aside. That should be something that we should allow, you know, if that's part of our passion and part of what God has in store for us, we should wait to see that happen in some way or another and not give up on that possible hope. And you know, it hasn't happened yet, but that doesn't mean it won't. And so that's kind of what I thrive on at this moment in time. My wife and I love being at home. We love relaxing here at home, and we're rebuilding the house as we can. I mean, it's old. It's a 1940s home. This floor that you're seeing here, which is wood floors, was covered over in old carpets. These walls, which are this nice pretty gray, were just obnoxiously ugly, you know, 70s colors that were never touched. And we're slowly working on the house a little bit at a time, here and there as we can afford it. And we've done a lot to this house that I'm certain has raised the value of the house by a lot. Okay, this is really awkward looking, isn't it? I don't even know what I'm seeing here. This is super awkward. So I'm going to try and just adjust some things with my line work here. And then I think I need to change up some proportions because I'm so used to drawing standard human proportions. I think I'm missing out on the hulkiness of this, which is going to be kind of important. So I think what I need to do to kind of create this hulky effect is take my head that I got here and make it a bit smaller. And I think that's going to be the start of what hulks out this character. And then build the neck muscles and things like that off of here to really kind of start expanding this hulky kind of caricaturesque figure. Try and make sure I know where my neck is placed and how it's going to reach out and expand. Maybe I want to put it low to the shoulders so it looks like he's kind of leaning forward, but I might need to raise it up a little bit too. The nice thing is doing things in layers, you can kind of move things around and get a feel as you go forward on what works or doesn't work. Because it looks really awkward right now, so what I'll do now is drop my opacity on a couple layers here and start refining some more. Let's get my technical pen, which I have adjusted, and create a new layer. And this one I'll start just inking in my character here a little bit. I think what I'm also going to do real quick is change my color. I like inking in a different color and then maybe changing it to black later, but just to have something a little different, kind of builds up the structure a little bit differently. Nice change of flow, you know? So, let me say that we got the house before we had the truck. We just kind of hard to say. We basically got the house, and then we're still staying at my in-laws because we were trying to rebuild the house while still living in my in-laws' house for a little bit longer. And then that's when I got in my wreck. and we were going to look at getting I told my wife I wanted to get another Toyota. My wife and I, we love Toyota trucks. That's just what we've driven and what we love. Okay, I hate when this happens. You can see all those pixelated lines. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to delete this. I'm going to multiply the head, and then I'm going to expand it to fit within the whole canvas. And I'm going to go ahead and draw it in full scale here on the canvas, so it's nice and clean line work. That I find helps me out a lot when I'm doing this. So that way my line work is really clean on the face. I don't care about the body so much, but the face structure is really important to me when I do my caricaturing. So, because that's what people are going to look at the most. So I can now start focusing on getting a little bit more design. And if you haven't noticed, I don't look at myself much, because I kind of know how I draw my own caricatures of me. Probably very pushed versions of me with much skinnier face structure and such, but I kind of know how I am. You know, I kind of know how my drawing of me would look, so I just kind of go for it. But I know, like, I have heavier eyelashes than many people and things like that, so I will try to push some kind of line work per se. And I know that my nose takes on a very interesting shape, which is just long, but then when you look at it, I have a bridge here, and so a lot of people in the caricaturing world expand on that bridge in a kind of fun, exaggerated manner, so I try to do that as well. Okay. And just try to focus on getting some of these age lines and laugh lines that are going to be important for getting some of the focus on the mouth and things. I'm telling you though, if you ever want to be put in your place, which I needed, it's to leave a place like Florida where your skills are needed, for sure. To work at Disney, to draw caricatures out of Disney, to work at a graphic design firm that understood your potential and understood their need for you. Literally, where when I would take a vacation from that place I worked at called Shadow Graphics, which I still absolutely love those guys. I have the best relationship with the guys at Shadow Graphics. To going from them and being literally, if I went on vacation, the shop would shut down because they needed a designer in-house, and if the designer wasn't there, then they really couldn't do much until I got back. And so literally, if I went on vacation during Christmas, or I got married when I married my wife, the shop literally shut down for like 2 weeks straight while I was gone. From someplace like that knew my potential and knew what I could do to help the company, to go to literally not being able to find a job out here in Montana anywhere and have to take a job at UPS, working a 2:30 a.m. to 8 a.m. shift, it will humble you. And it's not because I'm all that. It's not that reason at all, but it is absolutely that you can't think too highly of yourself, because God will make sure that you realize how low on the totem pole you actually are. And especially out here in a rural area like this. And of course, my design, my abilities to do design and do graphics and do caricaturing, yes, I can share them over the web, and yes, I can do all that stuff, but since I started this YouTube channel, I've never had my big break on this YouTube channel. I was never contacted by anyone to do anything or become anything special. I never had a big break here on YouTube in any way with this channel or with any of my YouTube channels. But I mean, this one was my biggest one. This is the one that was supposed to go somewhere and become something, and I was supposed to become some kind of YouTube creator that would end up going to the YouTube events in New York and all that sort of stuff that I dreamed to do and aspired to do. That never happened. Never happened. And I always hoped it would. I always hoped that one day I'd be going to a conference or whatever, to teach techniques, or, have a booth at a convention and be able to sit in a panel and talk about life as a caricature artist, or how to become a YouTube teacher or something. I don't know. I had a lot of aspirations that didn't quite pan out when it came to that. But in a place like Florida, there's a lot of potential for guys like me. In places like Montana, we become the weightlifters. That's for sure. So, but in my whole effort, and what I was trying to say, in my whole effort to do something online, everyone's like, well, your profession as a graphic designer can be very useful to people online. They just need to find you and utilize you. I was never found or utilized in that kind of way, Not for a lack of trying in every way, shape, and form. I mean, you'd think that I'd have a lot of clients with 12,000 people following me here on YouTube, but that could be 12,000 kids. That could be 12,000 people trying to create their own businesses. That could be many, many different things, completely opposite of what, maybe my reach was trying to become, That looks pretty cool. I like how that's turning out. Looks pretty awesome. Start drawing in my glasses here. And this is not me complaining at all, I don't want to be the Fousey Tube. Fousey Tube seems to complain a lot. Seems like he has goals and aspirations, and then things go wrong, and he has to talk to people on YouTube to boost himself back up and then keep moving forward. That's not my thought here at all. I do want to let people know that there is a reality of what people assume is happening on YouTube and then what is really happening on YouTube. And that's definitely the case for me. Maybe one day something will happen, but I remember saying that in my 20s, and now I'm in my 30s, and nothing's happened quite yet. So that's okay. That's all right. God's got a plan, and I'm okay with that. I just don't want to... I spend a lot of my time here looking for jobs in Montana, asking God to utilize me in the way He wanted to utilize me. And part of me thinks in a big way, right now He just wants to teach me humility, He wants to pull me off of what I thought my high horse was and start me from scratch a little bit, Right. Right now the beard isn't that thick for me, so I'm not really focusing on making my beard thick and crazy on here, because right now it's just full. I'm growing it back out. I'm growing my beard back out. I shaved it one time, to be look a little bit more professional for job interviews, but I don't need to do that. I look good with a nice thick crazy beard, so I'm gonna grow out my thick crazy beard again and maybe go a little bit longer than I usually do and try something a little different. All right. What do we think so far? Do we like it? I think that's kind of fun. Let's get some of the little lines that I have on my face when I make myself look a little angry. I think you can definitely make it big, but it will take time and consistency. I also think live streaming art on Twitch would be a good idea. You know what? The thing I laugh about is everyone says it takes time, and it does take time. Consistency, I think, is the important thing. Consistency is the big thing where I think I've shot myself in the foot because life is just too busy working on caricatures or whatever has come up in my life that has been able to not let me be consistent. But when it comes to time, which thanks for hanging out, by the way. Thanks for hanging out all this time and chilling with me in this. When it comes to time, I've done quite a bit of time. This channel was started in the early 2000s. Well, it was started probably about 10 years ago. 10 years ago? I'm not certain how old it is now. I'll have to check. I'll have to check again sometime. I talk about it every time I make another big thing. I think I talked about it when I hit 10,000 subscribers. I was mentioning how far we've come and what has happened in that time period, and how amazed I am that we've hit 10,000 subscribers, which was awesome at that time. And hitting 12,000 now, which is also pretty awesome. And it does take time, that's for sure. It does take time. A part of me goes, I've done my time, and why am I not... Wow, it sounds really bad. I hate that it sounds really bad. Matthew Coleman, looking good. I bought Clip Studio Paint after watching your videos last year. I think I could do something slightly okay, but quickly realized the gulf of talent between us. Well, I mean, as exactly as J Arts is saying, it does take time and practice, and maybe I need to practice a bit more on consistency for YouTube videos, and you need to practice a little bit more on art style. But I'm telling you, Matthew, there's nothing wrong with just continuing to have fun and focus on you and your style, and it becomes second nature. The drawing becomes second nature in time, and not to give up. If you like art and you want to focus on art and become an artist, there's no reason why you can't. I got into my hobby flying my drones, and this hobby has supported me in being able to play with my drones and have quite a crazy fleet and have a great time in that without affecting my wife's budget, if you will. So don't be afraid to take the time to learn it. You will be thankful that you did in the long run, for sure. But yeah, there's stipulations, and it does require a couple things. And I think the one thing that changed, that made me realize something about myself, is I gave up quickly because I didn't know how something worked. So trying Procreate for the first time, Procreate didn't make any sense to me at all. None of the brushes felt right. None of the pressure sensitivities felt right. Nothing felt right about the program. And I went and I tried a whole bunch of different programs, and I couldn't understand why it didn't feel quite right. And that's because I didn't take the time to try and build the program to work for me. I say this a lot in a lot of my drone videos that I've been making recently. Well, I've been wanting to say it. I made a video just the other day where I said it, and then I didn't actually share the video online. But a thing about a drone, like my racing drones, is that you have two choices. You can either set up the drone and learn to fly it, or you can set up the drone and set it up the way that you would fly it. And that removes a whole step from the learning process, the learning curve. And the same thing holds true with this software. This software is so able to be adjusted and contorted in a way that you need to make it in such a way where you don't need to have the extra learning curve. You can set this program up to work for you and your personality of drawing. And I needed that same thing when I did Paint Tool Sci. When I was going Paint Tool Sci or Clip Studio Paint Pro, which thankfully, if you found out you're not quite the artist, at least it wasn't a big investment, because the cost is intense for that kind of stuff. So I don't blame you one bit, Matt. But at least the money wasn't as affecting on you if you did like the $30 purchase or whatever. I don't know what they charge at the time now. Eyes look a little crossed. Let's kind of maybe move this eyeball over just a little bit. And I want it really wide open, so I want like really tiny pupil kind of thing going on here. There you go. That looks pretty crazy. That looks awesome. What's going on, David? How you doing? Anyway, I do think that my main fault is consistency. And I think one of my main reasons why consistency hasn't been something I've done well is because I've struggled to find... Maybe I've just done it wrong, but I've struggled to find people to respond back in something that I could actually teach them. I'd say, so what do you want me to teach next? And I don't get any responses back, or I'd get a couple, but I've already taught them in other lessons or something like that. And I feared being repetitive. Maybe I shouldn't fear being repetitive, but if the thing I was finding is I was teaching a lot of technique. And I was finding that I was teaching the same technique over and over and over every single video, and it was becoming repetitive. I'm repeating myself and trying to say how repetitive it became. I'm trying to figure out where to put my antenna so it's not causing feedback. I fly drones too. I completely get whatever you're saying, though. My job, I use AutoCAD, which I'm always so precise using CSP. There's almost too much freedom. Are your drone videos on another channel? Yes, and actually if you look right below me here, you see this crazy looking teddy bear. That's actually my logo from Shreddy Bear, and Shreddy Bear is my channel where I do my stuff there. And I also have a podcast, and I'll show you here. Team LOSR moment. You can see over here in the corner, way over here, that logo up there. I can actually expand it and show it to you guys. I started a team of freestyle FPV pilots, and we have a lot of fun. And it's just an online team, and actually you can be a part of it. You can join Team LOSR on our Facebook group and stuff like that. So I have a lot going on in the FPV community and a lot less going on in the drawings. But of course, I drew that. I drew that, and I drew... very interesting situation that I dealt with a lot. So, but yeah, that's my logo for my pilot. I'm called Shreddy Bear. That's what people call me in the FPV community. So, because my wife calls me Teddy Bear, and I wanted something like that, and everyone just goes, "You should call yourself Shreddy Bear," because we shred the skies when we fly our quads. And I'm going, yeah, that's a good idea. So, Shreddy Bear. So yeah, if you look that up on here, I'll pop right up, and you'll recognize that face, that teddy bear face on there. All right, so let's go ahead now. We've got the face drawn. Looks really, really good. I'm just going to leave it brown for right now. And I'm just going to shrink it down to the size that I need here for the Hulk face. And then I'm going to go ahead and delete the faces here, just to give myself a couple extra layers, since I do like how that turned out. And I'll try to get some color in there in a little bit. Still not sure how I feel about this body. I'm really not. I'm not liking it. So I'm gonna try a different pose. I am gonna keep the body that I like the most, though. And even though this is more proportionately correct, this one feels more angular, and I like that. But I know the body is completely wrong. There's something stupid crazy wrong with that chest cavity to the stomach, and it's completely improper in every way. But I kind of like it anyway, so I'm going to keep that layer. I'll delete the other one, but I'll keep that one just as reference, and go ahead and switch back over to my pencil and have a new layer so I can draw and try a new body posture. So let's see if I can... I should start by building the shoulders, and I should really focus on building the shoulders. Maybe something else I should do really quick, I hope you guys don't mind, is I'm also going to hop onto Pinterest and pull up a couple references for Hulk. And I nearly dropped my wireless transmitter. Oh, good thing it's hooked on there, kind of solid. Okay. And if you guys saw my Pinterest, you'd know I'm big into superheroes and stuff, because all the crazy stuff pops up here, like Deadpool and Iron Man. Iron Man's one of my favorites. Spider-Man has become a favorite again, because I like Spider-Man a lot. Let me do this really quick. While I'm surfing, I will share my surfage with you. So I'll do a display capture, and we're going to do add, I guess it's display, I don't know, I'm going to call it that. And I'll show you guys this display here, so you can at least see what I'm seeing. And I'll move my webcam up so you guys can still see me. There we go. So here's my Pinterest. Surprised not more stuff from Lost Lagoon isn't showing up, because you can see I got frightened girl pose, scared woman, girl sexy beach pose, because I'm trying to find stuff for the Lost Lagoon artwork that I'm doing. But let's look up Hulk. And see if we get some reference for Hulk. I like this. Yeah.
Is the noise bugging you?
No, not at all.
You can't hear it, or you can?
I can, but it's no big deal.
Okay, thank you.
You all right?
Yeah, I'm fine.
Okay.
Earning my keep today.
Are you now?
Yeah.
I do that all the rest of the week.
Right? I know. Me too.
Yeah, you do at work. That's for sure. Okay, I love this pose. Look at the pecs on this thing. That's awesome. There is so much oomph there. And that's something I'm kind of forgetting about Hulk, is that he really does, he's not skinny. He's humongous logs of body structure. And if I'm doing this right, then humongous logs of body structure make a lot of sense. So I'm going to keep that up here for reference, and I think I'm going to look up one more Pinterest. And let's look up Hulk one more time. And I want something a little bit more dynamic. I want something that looks like he's moving a little bit more Hulk smash kind of thing, kind of like this. Very Hulk smash, that kind of works. Not quite though, it's a little too abstract. Here he is fighting. I need something a little bit more attacking the camera kind of pose. There you go. That's kind of awesome. I love people who can push proportions like that. Oh, crush, that's cute. That's very cute. This does work, but there's not enough action in it for me. That's kind of how I draw. I want to push it past my limits here. I want to get something that's a little bit more past mine. That's crazy. That proportionate blowout is awesome. That looks cool. And my favorite character, Wolverine, is about to die. Okay, if you look here, this is cool. Whatever the silhouette is on this one, if I had that not in silhouette, I probably would love that. Oh, I love this. I love this. Look at this. This curled up structure. I might run with this. We're going to use this. So let's go ahead and keep this one over here for me. And where'd my other one go? Did I close it out by accident? No, here it is. Okay. So I'm going to keep these two windows open. And hop back over into my drawing. And we'll continue from here. And then, of course, I need to shrink this down. Now, Matthew, you're mentioning that you work in AutoCAD a lot. Something I'm wanting to do here in the very, very near future is I want to start doing I want to start doing 3D printing. I don't have a 3D printer yet. It's on my Christmas wish list, admittedly. And I'm trying to figure out filaments and stuff because I want to print some 3D parts for my quads and stuff for my drones. And yeah, we're totally gonna go for this Hulk crunch kind of thing. I love that, so we got to go with that. My question is, where would you suggest is a good place to start learning 3D printing, 3D design? Because I've done a little bit, but I'm kind of miserable at it. I'm not miserable at it. It's just I haven't had the time to really look into it as much as I would like to. So, yeah, camera mounts. That's exactly one of the things I want to create. There's two things I want to create, really. One, I want to create pods that would encompass, like, right here is my little 150 build. And I want to create a pod that covers all of this electrical gear and stuff like that. You know, simple 3D prints and stuff like that. Camera mounts, obviously. I mean, we can always get stuff from Brain 3D and such. But I deal with snow, and a lot of snow outside. And I've really been enjoying flying, like this little guy that is behind me here. Right here. And I think it would just be really cool and simple just to create a complete pod that covers this whole area and covers over ESCs and kind of either goes around motors or, you know, like we've seen already. I just want to be able to have a 3D printer to create this kind of stuff for myself, to make this stuff a little bit more snow resistant. Definitely not going for perfect, but snow resistant. But give me your thoughts, teach me a little bit, because that's something that I do want to do, and I'd be very interested in knowledge of that. For filament, look for at PETG. PLA ABS are harder to mechanically edit, if that makes sense. I think so. I'm curious about TPA or TPU. TPU, I think that's the more flimsy stuff. Well, not flimsy, but a little bit easier to work with. Autodesk did have a 3D program called 123D, easy to pick up like SketchUp. Okay, then that would be something I would look into for sure. And I think I've messed with, is it 123? I might have messed with 123D actually, and I just haven't had the time to mess with it as much as I should, and really start getting that structure process figured out yet. Same issue that Matthew was saying for, was it Matthew? Well, for whoever bought the drawing software and was trying to learn how to do drawings in that software. If you don't know how to use the software, it easily confuses you and just causes you to not want to continue. You know, and now I'm really wanting to do some more of this kind of design stuff, so that's kind of what I want. Don't forget to look at instructables.com. Lots of info there. Okay, great. Instructables.com. I appreciate that. I will look into that. Do either of you guys have 3D printers, and how much did they run you? And if so, pros, cons, any theories on 3D printers? Because I have a friend who's running an I don't know what, Annette A8 or something like that. And the printer online is only like $170. It looks really cheap, you know, and I'm concerned that it's so cheap that it's lame in price, you know. So I was curious if you guys have any information on good printers. And I see that Mr. Mr. Filloy, you were mentioning good filaments, so you would probably know your way around a printer. I'd love to hear your opinion. I've backed one on Kickstarter called Sculpto. I haven't gotten it yet. That's cool. I mean, the printers out there are now incredibly cheap, so it makes me wonder. I mean, and I know they've gotten cheaper over time, but I also know that my friend who has that A8 printer right now, he says that he needs a different nozzle to run TPU filament because it requires more heat or something. So I don't know any of this stuff, and I'd like to have, these are things you need to be careful about. And he's got the colon, which means we're going to get a list. That's awesome. I appreciate that. Make the list. Let's see the list. All right, now we're getting some structure here. That looks right. There's some nice pectorals and stuff going on there. You see, this is what happens when you decide to give up trying to do a drawing on your own and actually dig up the reference to get the right stuff. This is where you start making wise choices. Another wise choice I might need to make here really quick is I'm at 30% battery. I might need to plug in my iPad soon. And probably my pencil. So really quick, yeah, I agree, Briggs. The pecs, they look awesome. I'm going to go ahead and plug in my pencil here real quick so it starts charging. And I have a charging block right here for this, which I will need to figure out where to plug it in. I'm going to need to grab an extension cable here real quick. So I might need to hop up here and look around. Okay. Actually, I got to plug there. Can it reach up here? It might not. Hang on just a sec. I know I'm kind of going off camera here. Real quick. Ugh. Okay. Let's see if this will work. This will be great if this actually works. It looks like it will. Survey says it will. All right. So I have no idea how much I charged up my pen. I should probably check my battery for my pen really quick too. Okay. Let's go ahead and let me take a look at how my pen is doing. Pencil's at 65%. We're great there. And I finally have this plugged in, and it is charging, so we're good. Okay. And we're back. Compatibility with different filaments. Heated beds for certain filaments. Volume of the 3D printer are specific filaments from a certain brand required, or can be brandless filaments be used. Oh, man, that's great information, because if I'd gone and bought... I'm not certain what size bed I'm going to need, because I would love to make the pods that I need that Matthew and I are talking about. I would love to make these pods a full print without having to assemble them in any way. I kind of want them to be a part of this. And I'm not certain if I have... if I'll have a big enough bed to do that. So I got to see about what size beds I'm looking at in comparison to the quads I'm building. And then certainly heated beds. I know that's definitely a must. So, no, thank you so much. Excellent information. I appreciate the time you took to write that up. Because I do want to make sure I make the right choice. And especially right now, being kind of broke. So, my other thing I want to do, and those of you who are dronies will be proud of me, is I'm going to be going for my Part 107. I'm doing some research. I'm talking with some friends right now on getting Part 107. Because one thing that is needed up here in Montana, apparently, is more Part 107 guys. So I'm going to try that. And for those of you who aren't dronies and don't know, a Part 107 is a license to fly drones as a business. And that's something that I've been told I should do up here, and something I have not done yet. So I'm going to start doing the research on the classes and start looking at how much it's going to set me back money-wise, and then see if I can get my hands on a DJI or something to begin doing that. All right, muscle structure's starting to look pretty cool here. I'm kind of feeling this. Kind of liking that muscle structure. Okay. All right. Let's see about this other arm here. I wonder what my wife is doing. Sounds like she's got some kind of vacuum running. She says she's earning her keep. I've been the stay-at-home husband for the last couple of weeks, so I've been doing the dishes and taking out the garbage, and she comes home to a nice clean house. I'm stay-at-home husband. I'm doing just fine. I will probably continue to be the stay-at-home husband while I'm doing this job, unless I get another job, because I'll be home more often than her, which she kind of hates, which I can't blame her one bit. I would actually prefer her be at stay-at-home. If I could have her where she wouldn't work, and that would be amazing. But she is working harder for both of us right now, and is sadly having to make all the money that I can't make right now. And I've never been able to make as much as she does. Definitely not an expert, but you should definitely look into differences between a 2000 printer and a below 1000 printer. Yes, branding is a thing, but quality is also there, if you know what I mean. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I would hate to go buy just any old printer and figure out I've shot myself in the foot by accident, you know? So, definitely true. I don't like these arms. Something's up with these arms. And I also feel like I'm not pushing my biceps into the pecs as much as I should either. So I'm gonna, because I'm looking at the drawing of Hulk here, and I'm seeing that the pecs are kind of forming into the biceps. And so the biceps really should pop more into the structure of the bicep should pop more into the structure of the arm, like this. Maybe I should have him grabbing something, like throwing something, like a car, or something big and crazy. Okay. All right, let's grab this. I have a lot of friends who do 3D printing, and I just haven't taken the time to ask them any questions because, first off, they're busy, and secondly, I don't have any money right now to do that. I can see a friend or two of mine who actually run 3D print shops. I was at one time sponsored by a company called Great 3D, and they've since changed over, and they are now Plastic Spider Designs, and they still do 3D printed stuff, but they're more focused on carbon fiber cutting and stuff. But they were my sponsors for a long time for my drone stuff. And then I jumped off from, they released me because they went under new management, and then they've gone on to focusing more on carbon cutting. And then I have a friend who, I've known him since before he became popular in 3D prints, and he's Brain 3D, and he does a lot of brain related prints. He does a lot of 3D related prints for camera mounts and stuff like that as well. So I haven't, for a long time, I haven't had as much of a need for it because I was sponsored, and most of the parts I thought I would want, I could just get from one of my friends, and that worked out well. But then, of course, now I'm starting to come up with my own theories for drones that are obsolete, like my Katana 185. That drone is completely obsolete. It's not even in production anymore. So I want to build stuff for it, or create stuff for it that needs, sorry, my battery might be dying on my microphone. I want to build some stuff for it that needs 3D prints that no one would develop for me anymore, nor can I afford to hire anyone to develop that stuff for me anymore. So it just makes sense to go my own way, come up with my own stuff. Especially with the cost effectiveness right now. I mean, I was looking at filaments. They're like 20 bucks for a filament, 20, 30 bucks for a good large amount of filament. It seems like a pretty reasonable price to me. Now, I don't know what's good filament and what's bad filament, and I am looking for TPU because I do want it to be flimsy and you know, able to flex so it can take it can take a hit if it crashes, you know. But like I have some quads here that run some 3D skins on them, not skins, skirts, you know, to kind of protect the insides. The same thing I'm trying to create. I'm just trying to create mine a little bit more full, where these are just like little skirts on Nito frames. I'd like to create something that's a little bit more single piece as much as possible. And those are not made out of TPU. And I'm not certain what they're made out of instead, but they don't flex, and I had a big wreck the other day, and it cracked, you know. And it's good stuff, but I do want to make sure I have something that's a little bit more sturdy. Okay. Giving him the tree trunk legs the best I can here. Can you explain what 3D printing business is? Not like selling the printers, but creating things for drones, if I understand correctly. Well, there is a very, very large world of 3D printers right now that are really succeeding in the drone world. These are drones. Well, they're not drones, okay? Let me be very straight about this. I'm using the word drone to make sure you guys kind of know what I'm talking about. These are not drones. These are multi-rotors. A drone, a real drone, is a military machine or a machine that can fly itself. You can take off, hit a button, and it'll fly itself. Something that we would fly would be a Phantom or a Mavic or anything like a DJI, where you can tell it to take off and go in a certain direction, and then you can take your controller and put it down, and it will just continue to go. Something like this cannot do that. This needs to be flown, and if I put my controller down, I'm going to crash. And now, if you look here, yeah, quadcopter is the proper term, multi-rotor is the proper term, race drone, mini quad, there's many different names for them. But if you look here on this one, right here, this thing is a 3D print, and it holds my camera in place. And this is my HD camera, and this is the camera that I see out of when I'm flying, and I wear goggles to see out of there. That's a 3D print. On my goggles here, I have a Shreddy Bear logo that someone 3D printed for me as a gift. Very, very generous guy, Ben Stover. He made this 3D print for the front of my goggles. And that's made to protect the receiver wire that goes from one side of the goggle to the other, because this is two different antenna receivers. Other 3D prints are antenna holders. Here's a bunch of antenna, what we call forever antennas, and if you look right here on the end, that's a 3D print that holds that antenna on a standoff. Behind me here, which you might not be able to see, there is another quad right here, kind of on this ice cream thing, and that right there are a couple different 3D printed parts. They're all just 3D printed parts developed for holding cameras on, for protecting gear, for doing something stupid. If I got a spare battery, here's a battery right here, and this is the battery lead that you plug into your quad, and you don't know whether this battery's dead or alive or not, so people have created 3D printed parts that you put on your battery lead to say that it's charged or discharged. I mean, 3D print is there's two leading things right now in the drone world that are incredibly important to us, and that's 3D printed stuff and carbon printed stuff. Not carbon printed, but carbon cut stuff. Because of all of our frames that we use for our quads are carbon quads, and it's all cut out of carbon sheets. And so those are the two things that really make up the drone industry, not including the most important stuff like motors, ESCs, cameras, flight controllers, power distribution boards, things like that. But 3D printing is very, very central to making a good quality quadcopter, hands down. And so a lot of guys, when this hobby first started, they jumped in and, you know, began selling 3D printed parts for guys like me who didn't actually have any 3D printers. But at the same time, you know, that we're getting more 3D printers involved and people can get their own, now it's going another way. Let me see. But like, I understand everything that you mean, but I never thought people would actually sell 3D parts. Mass production. Oh yeah, yeah. There's companies doing mass production on stuff because you have guys like me who don't have 3D printers. There's really important stuff that you need. First off, you need to know how to create 3D printed designs. I have no idea how to do that, so I'm going to go and buy a 3D printer but not have any idea of how to make a 3D design. Now, sure, you can go on Thingiverse and get stuff like that off of Thingiverse, but when it comes down to it, you still have to learn how to do 3D designing to get something that maybe is geared more towards you. Where a 3D printer guy has already created some stuff that you may need for a quad. So for like this quad back here, that has a camera mount on it, so anyone who has that quad can get that mount, and that's incredibly useful. So these guys have made and mass-produced a bunch of these mounts so that you could easily go and buy it and install it on your quad and you're good to go. So yeah, mass-producing 3D printed parts is quite normal for drone-type stuff, hands down. Absolutely. I'm trying to think about what I can kind of get here. I was thinking like maybe a gravel rock or something with some rebar sticking out of it or something that I could be like grabbing and tugging on here, something like that. I don't know. Okay, so body structuring looks really good. I'm going to go ahead and start taking this to ink. And if you need more proof, I mean, just go look at Plastic Spider Designs or Brain 3D. Brain 3D right now is probably one of the most popular 3D printers right now in the market. Yes, but if you would mass produce it, wouldn't you want to use better quality material instead of PLA, ABS, etc.? Well, really, for what we do, TPU, which is the rubberized kind of print, that hands down is some of the best dang material you can have on a quad. I mean, this right here is TPU. And it doesn't need to be perfect. I mean, you can still see the 3D resolution print in there. You can see that clear as day. This is over a year old, and it is still holding strong. And I cannot tell you how many dang crashes this thing has been through, and there is no damage to that 3D print at all. And when I'm telling you we drive these into trees at 80 miles an hour, we drive these into trees at 80 miles an hour. The carbon fiber gets mutilated. Things break in a heartbeat, but the 3D prints can really last. So you can either develop a what's the proper term I'm thinking of? Hang on, it'll hit me in a second. Like a plastic that you can form and mold, a molded plastic thing. But in the end, it's more cost effective, and it's just as reasonable to 3D print them. And if you want something that's malleable and flexible during flight, so when you wreck you don't break anything, hands down, the TPU works amazing. Now PLAs, ABS, and all that sort of stuff, basically all of that works good for other kind of framework, for other kind of parts on a quad, but when it comes down to it, the TPU, I have not regretted in any way using a TPU part on any of my quads, and they're very cost effective. So we really don't need better material in that extent, we just need better design of the items going on the quads. Okay, now it's time to start inking up the body structure. And like I said, I'm not blowing up the body on this like I did the head. I'm just going to ink out the body just as it is, because I really don't need as much definition in the body as I do the face. The face is going to be the center of the emotions where everyone pays attention and looks. So I want to make sure that I get that face nicely inked up, but when it comes down to it, there you go. It's 22:30 here in the UK. I'd better go to bed. Been having fun out here. I'll catch the rest of the stream tomorrow. Night, y'all. God bless you, man. Thanks for hanging out. Appreciate it. So, anyway, how on earth did I get talking onto drones and 3D prints and stuff like that from a drawing stuff? That's fun. Anyway, it's a really cool hobby, and I'm telling you, you have never met a nicer bunch of people than in the drone racing community, hands down. Look up MultiGP, look up Rotor Riot, look up all that sort of stuff on Facebook. And if you get involved in the community and you get yourself a nice little race drone and you need help with anything, you need to learn how to program it, you need to learn how to tune it and all that sort of stuff, everything just gets so much better every single day as you get to know new people, and they're all very ready to help and teach you what the next step is to become a better pilot and start doing flips and loops and all kinds of stupid stuff for going through gates at 80 miles an hour. It's a really, really cool hobby. And if you know how to play it right, it can actually be a profitable one. Like I said, if I wasn't in the hobby, actually buying parts, I would probably have a little bit more money than I do right now, because of all the people I've drawn in the hobby. But of course, you're going to support someone in the hobby too, so I kind of doubt that you're going to make money in the hobby without being in the hobby. But it's really, really fun to fly these drones, and to go to a place where, I mean, one of my previous videos that you can go and see, well, and actually I don't think it comes out until a couple days from now, but I was just doing a video where I went and I flew in a place that we call them bandos, but it's an abandoned building, and we'll go fly in abandoned buildings and stuff and do flips and loops and proximity type stuff and all kinds of crazy stuff like that. It's really awesome. Good point. I just always saw 3D printing as a low-end creation tool. As you said, molding is something I see high-end, but I guess that isn't necessarily true. Molding is not cost-effective at all. Molding requires a separate company. Molding requires months and months of planning and research and investment in your initial molding, in your initial molds and stuff. When it comes to 3D printing, we only need a basic thing that can be printed once and sold once. And if it's something that everyone uses, like you get a drone frame and you design a part for that drone frame, and then that drone frame goes huge. Like right now, there's Race Day Quads, which is an amazing website to buy drone parts from. They have a quad called the Mach 1. Everyone loves the Mach 1. Everyone loves the Mini Quad Club drone. There's a lot of different frames, and so if you get your hands on one of those popular frames and you create 3D printed parts for what people need, ESC covers, camera mounts, HD camera mounts, protectors, whatever, and you sell that on your website, or you sell that to the developer of the drone, it's very, very economical, and it's the end product. And then all you have to do is, when you get a sale in, you tell your printer to get started, it prints it, and you sell it. And so that's why a lot of companies right now, like Plastic Spider Designs and Great 3D back when they were in process, you have, I know I've seen upwards of 6 or 7 printers running at a time, printing 3D parts that are going to go out for shipment that day, as soon as they dry and as soon as everything's done, and you're good to go. And that's how some of these guys have really made their money. And it's not because it's looked at as a process of design and creation development. It's because that's the final piece that you're putting out for sale. Works out really well for everyone involved. Because if I need a molded part, that's going to cost me 2x, 3x more, because you as the developer have to charge more for the amount of time you've put into creating that in the final end, as well as contacting another company to do it, because you're not going to be able to do that in-house. Where I know 3D printers who are running 5, 10 printers out of their own house doing this stuff. Kind of cool. Here we go. Why would a company make your headphone buds, the things in your ears, instead of 3D printing for cosmetic reasons? Yeah. I mean, well, for stuff like earbuds or like this or stuff, of course you want your plastic stuff. But for a drone, for something that you're going to wreck in the next week and need to buy new parts for it, you don't want to have an expensive part on there. You don't want to have an expensive 3D molded, well, I mean a molded part. You want to have something that can be easily replaced with, a cheap value that's still good quality. And the only reason I've ever broken a 3D printed part was because my propeller cut through it. That's the only reason. And not because I hit a tree, not because of anything like that. Maybe because of too much centripetal force. I've broken a camera mold, a camera bolt, only because of centripetal force. Yeah, I would, Briggs, I would be all for it. I mean, I want to do that as well. And it's not even for business. I want it for hobby. I mean, there's so many people with 3D printers out there now. It's not as easy to make money on it where it used to be. But it's still kind of a neat idea to think of what you could create with one. And especially for me, since I'm flying quads that are not even in production anymore, I definitely want to be able to develop my own stuff for my quads. And especially out here in the snow. I mean, right now I have a couple inches of snow outside, and I would kill to go and fly one of my quads outside right now. And I do it anyway, but yeah, hands down. All right, well, thanks for hanging out. Mister, you take care. Have a great night, and get some rest. Take care. There's nothing wrong with trying to make money with anything you own. That's my take. Anytime I've ever gotten something new in, I think two things. One, how can I have fun with this? And two, how can I make money with this? I mean, getting my iPad was solely a business purchase, but at the same time, it's kind of like, so what can I do for fun on this? And then what can I do to make some serious money on this, you know? Which I think this iPad has easily paid itself back several times over since I've owned it. All right. Thinking about toes. And knuckle. Okay, weird looking foot, but it still works. Well, there's nothing wrong with making money back on your investment. I mean, treat people fairly and make sure that they feel. I always want to send someone away from me after I've done business with them. I want them to feel like they were blessed, or maybe they got away like a bandit. And as much as possible, I try to pull that off. Can't always do that, especially in art. I mean, my art these days is pretty expensive. And people who actually go, oh yeah, I'll get a caricature, I laugh, because it's like, you don't realize how expensive this is. Either you have way too much money, or you're just a very giving spirit and you're trying to hook me up. Because, I mean, I charge an arm and a leg these days for caricatures. But I'm very thankful that I'm able to utilize my this as a way to keep my hobby alive and keep my business alive. And I definitely don't mind when it for a while there, and even now, which I haven't been able to do recently. I haven't gotten as much money as of yet to give my wife another check, but I really enjoyed giving my wife a check because I give her a cut of everything from my business. And so when I get another sale in my business and I can put money aside that goes to my wife, and that, it's a real joy to do that. And for her, it's a normal thing, but for me, I've made money that I'm giving to our family. Now she sees it as an obvious paycheck that needs to happen. Me, I see it as Tim started from nothing and became an artist. Tim never went to college and now owns his own business. Tim does drawings that people pay money for, and Mandy sees money because of Tim's efforts, which not many people could say. I mean, that's like someone saying, I make money playing video games and I give my wife a paycheck because I won in Minecraft. I mean, that to me, there's not many people who would say that or feel that way. You know, because that's not really a real thing. There's people who might get paid to play video games, but it's very, very rare. And I think that's kind of the same way for me. I draw caricatures. I draw cartoons of people. And it is hard work sometimes. But what a unique thing to be able to come to my wife and say, hey, something I've earned through something I've done is paying a bill. No matter how small or how large, this is what I can give you because of something I've done. That's a neat feeling. A very cool feeling. Something I think that because she just sees this as a business, she doesn't realize how cool that is. So when I can give her $20 or $30 or $100 or however much I can, you know, for her, she's looking at it going, that's not enough to get us through the next paycheck. Me, I'm going, you don't realize how much heart has gone into this little check that I'm giving you right here, you know? But it's the case. All right, so we're looking good here. We're looking really good here. Let's go ahead and turn off the back layers and see how we're looking. It looks very Hulkish. I like it. So I'm going to go ahead and merge my Hulk face and body together. Merge down. So now that's all one layer. Now let's go ahead and expand this layer out a little bit and start looking at some coloring. Okay. Let's delete some unnecessary layers and drop one layer below the other. And let's go get some greenish / yellow because I kind of like that kind of green. And let's start doing some filling. So select this reference layer and here we go. All right. Undo. Okay. I'm just filling this all in, I don't mind. I'm going to go back in with other color hues in a minute anyway. Alright, get all this filled in. Alright, and grab my eraser. Okay. It has been such a long time since I've made some videos here on YouTube. This feels good. Feels very good. Alright, now let's go ahead and start with some pants. Of course, Hulk usually runs some purple kind of pants, so we'll go ahead and do that too. Not quite. I always say people who love work do a better job than those people who simply have a job. Yeah, and that's for sure. And I think that shows between my wife and I, because I've chosen to try and live my life as much as possible, enjoying what I do. And she's the organized one and the one who thinks through things carefully and makes the wise decisions. And so admittedly, she picks the wiser plans, the wiser goals to do the hard work, to make the more money. She went to college. She's a nurse and works her butt off. And she's exhausted and tired all the time. And I feel terrible for her. So she does make the wiser decision financially. But her heart is hit twice as hard as mine would be. And I did that for a while. Well, not even for very long, until I was laid off from my most recent job. I was working 17 hours a paycheck in overtime, just trying to figure things out. And I was putting up with sadly quite a bit that unfortunately was not positive stuff to make that happen. And I was being hurt, and I was coming home tired and exhausted, and I said, okay, honey, I feel how you feel now. I get it. And to an extent, I celebrated in that with her, because I now felt how she felt, and it's not something where she could exactly hold it over my head that I wasn't working as hard as she was, or that I didn't understand the kind of pains she was going through. And so I kind of celebrated with her in that okay, we're both here, we're both in this situation, we both understand each other now a little better, you know. And I know that that's not what she wanted, for me to feel that kind of pain, or to feel that kind of stress that she feels on a daily basis. But at the same time, it's something that we shared in, and that's something that we had, whether we liked it or not. It wasn't our first choice, obviously, but that was how things went. And even now, I mean, life is not going to get any easier for a while as we step into this new job. But I am thankful that we've gotten where we are, and I think we have a lot to learn and a lot to grow in. A long way to go. We kind of started from scratch here, for sure. It's not exactly what we were thinking would happen. But I knew we knew it wasn't going to be easy, but definitely thrown to the wolves a little bit in many, many different ways. Okay. Oh, I drew it on the wrong layer. Bummer. So now I got to go back until I'm not on that layer anymore. There we go. And redo all that. Okay. Now we'll go ahead and change that to add. That'll give a nice, cool effect there. And let's go to the dark side. All right. Alright, well, I think once I get done this very general shading here, I'm going to go ahead and wrap up for the night, because I'm doing this much longer than I intended to. We're at 2 hours and 13 minutes, and I was kind of planning on going maybe an hour. So that's what I usually do on Facebook anyway. So I will probably start wrapping it up here and calling it a night, but maybe we'll come back and work on this another day. Next time I have the chance to do another live. and maybe we'll see what we can do to reawaken this channel a little bit more. But thank you so much for everyone who's watched and hung out with me tonight. I really appreciate you guys and your honesty and your openness to offer advice on how we can kind of reawaken the channel and maybe keep this whole 12,000 subscriber thing something amazing and awesome and something that can continue to push forward towards more success. I mean, that would be my ultimate goal. I need to be re-inspired to work on it in the same way that I'm inspired to work on everything else I'm working on. I wear myself a bit thin, and I think my wife would agree with that I do that quite often, and it causes me to burn out, and when I burn out, it's unfortunate. And I have no desire to burn out on anything I do. I want to continue to succeed in it. And I think the one thing that keeps me alive and excited about something moving forward is when there's community involvement. In a big way. When a community is involved and when people are showing interest in something, in community involvement like that, that's where things continue forward. So that's where I keep wanting to move forward on stuff. So I'm not sure why I kind of burned out on working on this channel for a while here, other than just life taking over and being incredibly busy, and then, you know, just a lot of a lot of drama and a lot of uncertainty. But I mean, I'm still willing to move forward and create something new and exciting. So that would still be my ultimate goal. I'm gonna leave this at this, and maybe we'll try and finish this up another day. I'm going to go ahead and just change this to multiply and darken it up so you guys can just see kind of what I have here. I would do a lot of stuff now, obviously, to this that's going to make it look even better, but it's getting the whole kitsch look coming on. I like it. I think we're getting somewhere. So thanks so much for hanging out with me, guys. It's so good to see you again. How about if I say that? Because I feel like a lot of you guys have been very patient. Well, all of you guys have been very patient with me, and I don't want to make light of that. Thank you for everyone of you who are Patreon supporters. I'm not charging you for this. I'm not even sure what I'm going to do with the Patreon at this point in time, just because there's nothing going on. And there's still a bunch of Patreon supporters there with very little reward for their efforts. And it's something that I'm still having to decide on what we're going to do in that sense. If you're interested in getting a caricature, you can get me on Facebook. And that's the way I've been making most of my money at this point in time through the business. So if you need a caricature done, get a hold of me. My wait time is about 3 to 4 months right now to get artwork out. But that's kind of where we're at. So thank you so much for hanging out. I love you guys, and I'm looking forward to seeing you next time. We need to do this more often. So y'all take care, and I hope that you've enjoyed this drawing, and maybe we'll come back and touch them up some more and start making them look a little bit more official and hulkish later on. So God bless. Take care. Bye-bye.